Formula Ford took the green in 2007 with wheel-to-wheel action as Tony Coelho jumped pole sitter John Robinson for the early lead. But contact behind them into the first turn caused a virtual spin fest. Then on lap 6, Robinson went for the lead and got it. This battle raged on and on as Coelho simply wouldn't let up. Coelho's relentless attack paid off as he grabbed the lead down the inside. Robinson, now in pursuit, even tried off-road in turn 9. Then Coelho went off, and that's all it took. Robinson brought home the victory, the gold, and his second national championship. For the purist, it's Formula Ford that really gets their attention at the runoffs. Think about it, virtually identical power, all mechanical grip, and wind-cheating chassis. And for Art Foster, he thinks this slippery red Van Diemen might just be the machine that can take him to the podium and better his previous best of 8th at the runoffs. But he's got to deal with another slippery Van Diemen, that of Tony Coelho, silver medalist last year, fast lap on the way. He holds 5 track records, including a stunning qualifying lap at the June sprints. But the man that everybody's thinking about is this guy, a runoffs rookie, Alex Schutte. He ran the regional championship 2 years ago in San Francisco, then went sprint car racing, but came back this year, 5 wins and 5 starts. He's running that slippery and well-proven Swift. He could surprise with a gold.
Many pundits in the paddock this weekend feel that today's Formula Ford race may be one of the most competitive we've ever seen here at the runoffs. Case in point, Tonis Kasemets is back. Now, he's an ex-Formula Continental champion. He's also finished runner-up in the Atlantic class just last year. Can this ex-Champ Car star bring home the gold for this unique Vestel chassis? Chris Keller is just 20 years old, but has 4 wins for the year, 2 of them right here at Heartland Park. However, can a rookie win in his first visit here in this fiercely competitive class? That has to be the big question today.
Every year when the Sports Car magazine arrives and you start flipping through the results from the nationals held in the 9 divisions, it always seems you spend a little more time looking for Formula Ford. It is such a great class with such a great history. And today, after a full season of competition, it is time to determine a national champion in this spectacular category. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heartland Park, Topeka. It's the 45th running of SCCA's National Championships runoffs, and this is the 3rd straight year it is being held at this great facility in Topeka, Kansas. And this race, everybody has been waiting for it. We're looking forward to it, and Cal, these cars on this track, it should be spectacular.
It really should. I can't wait to see these Formula Fords attack Heartland Park Raceway. 2.5 miles, there's a little bit of everything. High-speed stuff through these 2 sections, and then medium speed through there, and finishing off with a really tight and twisty technical section as well.
And there are a number of Formula Ford, or Formula categories, of course, in the Sports Car Club of America. Tell us a little bit about Formula Ford specifically.
Well, Formula Ford is one of 8 Formula classes in the SCCA, and the chassis, suspension, and tires are open. Formula Ford engines in the back. They produce around about 120 horsepower.
Basically identical power plants. That makes for some great racing. We've got great stories as well. Justin Bell, what are you hearing?
Well, qualifying 9th in the number 72 car is Tom Schweitz Jr., who actually has 4 different gold medals in 4 different categories, including Formula Ford a couple of years ago. But the real story is he's a pilot, but also is an aero mechanic, especially working on engines. The thing he told me was the chassis for this race for him is a bit of an unknown. He's thrown some unusual setup in the hope it works, which makes me think that it's probably better that he's on the ground rather in the air for this particular race. Piers?
Thanks, Justin. Steve O'Seth, he's actually a Formula V champion and national champion 3 times. And he won the Pro Series championship in Formula V also. But that was a few years ago. Now, last year he qualified 5th and went on for a great bronze medal. I asked the 57-year-old Steve what was his biggest problem to getting a gold medal this year. And he said, well, I qualified 5th just like last year, but I have 4 very young, very fast Lions in front of me.
Well, that is a very good point, and obviously you see lots of different chassis designs out there, but all of them run a 1.6-liter Ford engine, so the power plant's virtually identical. They are prepped by different shops, and so, Cal, we've talked about it before in some of these races. You get 1 or 2 extra horsepower out of one of these engines in this category, that's huge.
It makes a big difference. You talked about the different chassis, 6 different manufacturers in the top 10, so it's going to be a real battle there today for bragging rights. Lots of different tire companies involved as well. It'll certainly be exciting to watch.
One of the guys we love watching is the number 2 of Mike Sauce. He drives a Sauce, a car of his own design, the only one in the field. That's always fun as well. That's the number 2. Pretty good guitar player as well. He's done some concerts at the Runhouse for the workers on occasion. And we'll be getting the green flag shortly for the 18-lap Run to the Gold here in Formula Ford. Stay with us, folks. In 1969, the first year that Formula Ford ran as a national category, the national champion was a man by the name of Skip Barber, who has gone on to do some tremendous stuff with his schools. In 1983, R.K. Smith showed up with a car that nobody had seen before called a Swift, and it is still as competitive today as it was then. Former champions in this class even include a guy by the name of Jimmy Vasser. It is a big one, and the field is now out and on its pace and parade lap, Cal.
Well, the great thing is with Formula Ford, it certainly allows a lot of innovation throughout the field in terms of chassis design. And the car that's running second on the grid right now, Tunis Kazimierz, look at the wheel design on that. It's very much like the Indy cars run at the super speedways. Very trick. Those wheels have been protested twice this weekend, even before we've seen the green here today, but has been cleared. This car is engineered by Dan Campbell. He's been around the paddock for decades, literally, and it's a very unique chassis as well, the Vestel chassis that Tunis Kazimierz will be driving today.
Well, at the top, I said these cars win cheating chassis, and that is exactly what they have tried to achieve with that. And here you see this field. It is a good one, a very deep field indeed. Very busy right now, working back and forth, trying to scrub some heat into the tires and scrub the junk off of those tires. And there's a car way in the back there that's an interesting story too, that old Crosley. So it's eras from old machinery right up to the most advanced, newest technology in this category, as they are out now on their final pace lap and getting ready to go. And Cal, you talked about Kazimierz being second, but another guy had the paddock talking.
He really did. Keller laid down a lap in qualifying too that literally had everyone scratching their heads. The Runoffs rookie over a second under the Runoffs record. Kazimierz there on the front row, but a surprise to see Treadway, driver who potentially can win the Triple Crown here today. He starts all the way down in 10th.
Yeah, just not able to get it done in qualifying. Won the sprints, won his division, a very quick driver. And to give you an idea of how competitive Formula Ford is, there's a guy named Stan Towns driving the number 6 Swift. He was the champ in the Southern Pacific division. You see him right there back in 18th. This category meant one little skip when you're out there in qualifying, and it puts you way to the back of the pack. So the guys that are deep in the pack, not only issues in qualifying, but tough to make your way forward. But one thing these cars do is draft, and you do have those straights that Calvin talked about in the track map, and you've got to make use of it there as you carry speed in the corners. And it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds here with this group. Let's get down to John Bisignano.
You know, Formula Ford has been an international marquee since 1967. It is where a young driver can show what he can do as far as wanting a professional career. If you win the SCCA National Championship, or if you win the Brands Hatch Formula Ford Festival, or even the Brazilian Formula Ford Championship, that gives you the credentials to go to a professional team and say, hey, look, see what I've done. Take a look at me. This could be the first door that could open for one of these new Ford drivers here. Four Ford drivers, sorry, as towards a professional career. Let's see what they can do. Now, for more, let's go over to Justin Bell.
That was easy for him to say. It's extraordinary what cars you find down here in the Formula Ford paddock. Daniel Hellman is driving his Crosley 25F, which was originally built in 1972. I was 4. What that means is that he's coming here with the ambition. He said, why come to the Runoffs if you can't drive? He's trying to stay out of the way, just having a blast. And if, in my opinion, he's certainly got his money's worth. That car has only had 2 prior owners. Back to you, Greg.
That's an amazing story. And in the regional level, there's hundreds of regions that make up the divisions. On the regional level, that car would run in what's called Club Ford. And the difference is it has outboard suspension. So the coilover shocks are right out there in the aerostream. You look at all these other cars, it's all inboard, very slippery. And when that Crosley, you get a head-on shot of that Crosley, you see it is an aero brake, and that's what they're dealing with. But right now, it's time to deal with 18 laps of national championship racing as this field is being brought up by Chris Keller. The green is out. out. And Formula Ford, boy, we've been waiting for this one, and it is underway, and right away they fan out. Look at Alex Schutte down to the inside, trying to make something happen, but Kazmats eases away Coelho right in that mix. Schutte now down to the inside, but Coelho comes across his nose.
Keller drops down to third, not the start he was looking for. Kazmats uses his experience there and goes straight to the front of the pack.
Kazmats, then Coelho, then Schutte, then I believe your pole sitter now, Keller. That's just an absolutely great start as we come down now through 3 into 4. And you're right, Keller is third. It is Schutte now has slipped back into fourth as this big field comes diving through here, and that was Keller, dropped the wheel.
Nearly loses control there on the exit of turn 4.
Oh, that's Mike Sauce, took a run around Schutte. They almost touched wheels, and now Sauce in trouble in terms of momentum, Cal.
He's going to lose a lot of ground here. Look at the pack that's all over his rear now. That's Arthur Foster there. In the number 3, he's going to try and make a move as they head down that very fast chicane.
Not able to get it done. Let's go back and take a look at what happened with Sauce.
Just gets pushed out wide there, loses grip, tires aren't up to temperature yet, and the rest of the pack comes right at him.
Kazmats leading, then Coelho. And one thing you'll note is Coelho running the front tire size on the rear of the car. He's really the first one to really explore that, and he finds that it actually makes that car very quick, very slippery, certainly. It still gives adequate grip, which is a bit of a surprise on some levels.
It really does, and here you see Keller now. Jinx out there trying to use his straightaway speed. He's got Arnie Loining engines. He has really been a linchpin of Formula Ford racing, but he doesn't have enough to get the job done. Coelho remains in second spot, and there's a big tire story here as well. A lot of these guys on Hughes, some on Goodyears. Who's going to be the best at the end of 18 laps? Keller goes to the outside. That's not going to work through this carousel, not on a guy like Coelho.
And while they're dicing it up, Tony's Kazmats is opening that margin up just a little bit in that Vestal. That car turned its first wheels early this spring, and the guy who commissioned the car, Bill Kephart, after a couple of races decided to put Tony's in it for development purposes. Tony's, of course, tremendous experience in a variety of Formula cars, Cal, and that's paying off. And right now it looks to me like Keller's certainly a little bit quicker than Coelho. And he wants by bad because he's watching Kazmats drive off into the distance.
He is, and even with a fast race car, if he gets into that second spot, Kazmats is going to be tough to pass. And we talked about it, runoffs experience. Keller's here for the first time. Coelho, he nearly won this race last year before finishing second. His brother won the Formula Continental race here just yesterday.
That's your lead group of 4. There is Coelho, that black Port Foundations Van Diemen, Sauce right there, and then a great battle behind Sauce, Foster. Then the number 12 of Treadway has moved up and gone around Oseth at this point. And once you get outside of that group behind Sauce, there is a huge scrum of cars right here led by that red number 3 of Foster.
You see Treadway has moved up to 8th. He's in the white number 12 car, making a move from 10th on the grid. Here comes Keller. No, Keller's by. Keller has got that second spot away from Coelho, and now he's under attack from Schutte.
One thing you notice here is that with these open wheel cars, you don't really quite want to try that outside move maybe as well as you would with in a car with the wheels covered. You're very careful on that one. Going back, there is the number 12 once again of Treadway, and I think at the 36 of Oseth, and these two are duking it out right behind Mike Sauce, going back and forth.
I think now that Keller's up to second, we'll see what sort of pace he has. Can he catch the lead of the 42 machine here?
That's Bill Johnson, and it looks like he has some problems, a little bit off the pace, Cal, and runoffs have not been kind to him. He ended up with a DNF last year and struggling right now. Meanwhile, Kazmats has himself a big lead. Keller a gap back to Coelho, and then it gets interesting.
Ray Murray has been the crew chief for this number 12 car belonging to Jeremy Treadway all season long, but now you're in a wheelchair, mate. What happened to you?
I smacked up my motorcycle.
Okay, fine, but shouldn't you be somewhere else? You have 6 broken ribs and a broken leg. Why the trip to all the way to Kansas?
Because I wanted to be with the team, and Jeremy wanted me out here.
Well, let's ask Jeremy about that. I think that brings a little bit of extra pressure to make sure everything goes well. You don't want to make any mistakes after an effort like that.
No, you know, it's good to have us all together. We have been all season. We've traveled all over the country, and to make sure that Ray's with us, his wife brought him out, and it's fantastic. I just hope that the race goes well, and we'll see how the outcome is. Thank you.
You know, oftentimes we're watching racing and we're talking about the commitment of the drivers and what they do, but boy, I tell you what, it's the crews and the families that are the unsung heroes. And there's a guy, he didn't have to make the trip, but he was absolutely determined to do it, to be there and watch Jeremy go after this Triple Crown if he could possibly do it. He's back in the pack a little bit at this stage, but he's given it a serious run as he sits in the 6th spot, actually now the 5th, as he did get around Mike Sauce. So he's moving up. Treadway now is on the move as we are looking at first black car. That is Coelho in 3rd. Then it's Alex Shuddy in 4th. Behind him now is Treadway, then Mike Sauce. So you're looking pretty much at 3rd through 6th right there.
Well, Treadway's had 6 wins for the season, so when you've had that type of season as a crew, you certainly don't want to miss out on the big one, and that's why his mechanic is here at the runoffs in Topeka. But this is a great little battle here we're watching. Tony Coelho, we talked about it, he runs those front tire sides on the rear. You have to wonder if that compromises you a little bit in terms of overall grip on a racetrack like this. It'll certainly work at Road America, and he should be good here down the straightaway, but Shuddy has a run on him.
Boy, Shuddy got out of that turn very well, and going with him is Treadway. So we'll see if they can make it work. Again, now that's forcing Shuddy to the outside. Now Treadway dives down to the inside, trying to take advantage. Oh, he was close. He wanted to get both of them. That didn't work, but he did get Shuddy. So Treadway, a very aggressive move. In this case, Cal, paid off beautifully.
Superb move there, and now he looks to the inside of Coelho through the carousel. Treadway on the march forward.
Coelho has not had one moment's respite since his race started. He has constantly had somebody pressuring him, and Justin Bell, Nicky Coelho is dropping back a little bit.
Well, I think Tony is. Nicky's standing next to me.
Correct.
So, Nicky, you won yesterday. Obviously, you didn't pass it on to your brother as far as it's going so far.
Well, you know, it's a long race still. We'll see what happens up front. But, no, I mean, he's kind of struggling all weekend, and we made some changes to the car, and hopefully they're better.
Well, as you can tell, I mean, Formula Ford is so incredibly competitive. I mean, it doesn't take much to slip back a bit. But as you say, it is a long race. Going into it, his confidence level?
Like I said, we were struggling a little bit, so it wasn't as high as he had liked. But, you know, we figured that anything could happen up front. So as long as he stays in there, we have a shot.
Well, you're the winner, so no wonder you're looking happy. Greg?
Yeah, Justin, you might want to tell him that Tony just got back around Treadway and picked that spot up again. So Nicky, who won a Formula Continental Championship in dominant style yesterday.
Treadway gets turned around.
Oh, and Sauce involved as well. Treadway, we'll see if he's able to get going. I think Shuddy is broke. That right rear, Cal, is damaged.
Shuddy got into the back of Treadway there, and that left Sauce with nowhere to go. He clobbers Shuddy, and they'll be damaged there. That car will probably be stranded unless he can limp it across the racetrack. Definitely looks like the wishbone is broken there. Suspension awry on the back end.
Hasn't been able to move it yet. Here's another look at it.
There you see Shuddy in the orange machine just gets into the back of Treadway. Sauce locks up, tries to get out of the way. I think he's then going to get into Shuddy eventually. Here we see it again, just nails him, turns him around. That was weird. I'm not sure if Sauce did get into him or whether the suspension was broken in Shuddy. When he rolled backwards, it just hopped up in the air.
That's possible, certainly. You're right. From that other angle, it was didn't see any setup of contact. And Shuddy is getting out and giving it up. So where he is, we'll have to see whether the workers can get him moved without having to go full course caution and handle it under a local yellow.
Some things just stand out, such as this, the very recognizable Vestal chassis and the equally as distinctive creator and builder, Dan Campbell. Dan, I've got 2 questions for you. Firstly, why would you build a car like this? And secondly, what makes it different?
It was pretty foolish, I think, amount of time we spent, but in 30 years of playing with cars, I was given the opportunity to build what I thought would work, and this is what we came up to it with, and it seems to be working.
And what makes it different? Just the shape?
Overall, the most distinctive thing is the aerodynamic shape of the car, yeah. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same as everybody else's car underneath. Little tweaks here and there, but nothing we're going to disclose.
Well, that may be one of the few times at a racetrack you'll see him with a shirt on, too.
Yeah.
That's...
I mean, he's got that gray beard, but he doesn't look any different from when I first met him back in 1985. He was winning races back then, and right now he's got his man out front. But I tell you what, Chris Keller was a margin, just a fraction quicker than Tonys once he got clear of that pack. So Keller should be in good position here, currently running second there in the silver and yellow Swift to put some pressure on our leader.
And we are under a full course caution, and here's why. And it was that contact, and absolutely right here. Watch what happened to the 44, Cal.
Well, you can see the 44 got into the back of the white Swift there, turns him around, and it's kind of weird. I still can't figure out whether he got clobbered by Source or not. He suddenly hopped him up in the air with some broken suspension.
And there's the car now. The course marshals have it on the back of the wrecker, getting it out of the way while we continue under caution. So we expect to be going back to green fairly shortly. Meanwhile, let's check in once again with Justin Bell.
I'm here with Neil Porter, who's actually the crew chief for Chris. All year, he's shown an unbelievable turn of speed for you.
Yes, every race that he's run for us this year, he's broken either the race record or the qualifying record, including breaking the qualifying record here a couple days ago.
So now on this restart, you wanted to reverse the when I asked you earlier, a little bit of a mistake at the start.
Yeah, he didn't get a great start, but I think that he was turning faster laps. You know, it's a very fast car up front, so you're not going to get seconds at a time. So this restart should help us a lot.
Perfect. This yellow really could go in your direction. Well done. Back to you, Greg.
All right, and they are coming around. We expect to be going green this time, and we'll see whether he's able to do it. Rick Green brings the pace car down into pit lane, and the field now under the control of Tonys Kazmets in that yellow Vestal as they come onto the front straight.
Well, Tonys is going to try and use his experience. He's won at the Run-Offs before. He's an ex-champ car driver, and he's got a young rookie behind him as we see the green fly.
Let's watch for it here. Look at the explosion as everybody fans out. And right away, Keller showing some smarts there, just tucks in and looked like he got a run. He was moving to the outside. This is tough to do, and you've also got to be mindful of Coelho right back there, then Sauce as they stream down. He is good. He got a good run out of two, Cal. See if he does anything down into the carousel. Not yet.
No, Kazmets takes it in deep. Both these guys running on different tires. There's Hoosier tires out front right now. Goodyear's on Keller's machine right behind him.
Little bit of a gap back to Coelho, then Sauce. So these two quickly establish a little bit of a gap at this stage, coming out of that very tight turn 5 and into an extremely important corner, turn 6.
And look at Kazmets just hitting his marks perfectly. He hasn't slipped all day long, but right now the situation is totally different from the start of this race. He has got the heat right on him.
Here's that long run. You get up to speed. Drafting can play a role. He's not quite close enough. One thing that Vestal does is it closes the air up very well behind it, so you don't get as much benefit from the draft. But Keller, stay close. He's getting a run. He moves deep to the inside. Kazmets defends. Keller pops back to the outside. Kazmets had a sense that was coming.
Keller's going to run. He's going to the inside. That's not going to work. Kazmets shuts the door. Keller recovers nicely, but he isn't a very aggressive driver here. He's certainly not intimidated by Tonys Kazmets right now.
Well, I think Keller is very comfortable with the way that car is working right now. Takes a little wider line, trying to carry some more speed onto the front straight. And they have already put a margin on Tony Coelho back in third. Formula Ford is always a tremendous race. Qualifying showed that that could very well be the case again this year. In fact, it was one of the most anticipated races of this 45th running of the National Championship Run-Ups for SCCA. And it is now underway at the halfway point, and Tonys Kazmets leads in the early going or at the halfway point here in Formula Ford, but it is by no means a comfortable lead, Cal.
It isn't. He is really feeling the pressure. He's got about car length now, so we head on that long back straightaway through turn 7. Keller not as close as he was on the previous lap. And we talk about the aerodynamic effect on that Vestal chassis. It certainly cuts through the air really cleanly, but Keller has a fast race car. Seems like he has great horsepower once again from Arnie Loining.
And I'll tell you what, the guy who was very impressive again, that white number 12 at Treadway, he had dropped back out about into the 10th spot. Of course, he got bunched up with the caution, and he has already now gone around Steven Oseth and is up to 5th.
You are right, Greg. I cannot believe that Treadway has recovered after that big knock, that the car has not had its suspension damaged at all, and he's able to run fast lap times immediately as he now puts the pressure on Sauce in the number 2, that black car right ahead of him.
And you just have a feeling if Sauce and Treadway et al. Could get around Coelho, that they would be able to drive away a little bit. That car just does not seem to be quite there yet. Sauce now going to go to that outside. He is coming up alongside. Treadway going to make it 3 abreast. Dives to the inside. And Treadway, what a move. Goes from 5th to 3rd. Uh-oh, trouble here. We'll see.
Well, can he respond? He'll get a better run there. Treadway defense to the inside. Coelho's pushing down there. Treadway gets in really deep. A great move. He'd made that move before through that chicane. Got 1 spot. This time he got 2.
Now, Treadway, the way he has been driving, he has got to put that head down and go for it. But he has shown some amazing speed.
I tell you, if we could get Treadway to the front of the pack with that lead 2, that would be some battle because he has speed too. Look at this. Sauce dives to the outside. Treadway sticks right there with Coelho, and then he breaks free of both of them and dives it down to the inside. Uses some curb here. Watch this. Car jinks around a little bit, but he has huge momentum and takes that position away. Gets a little bit wide through the chicane, but hangs on to it.
So a nice piece of driving by Treadway. Now we'll see what he can do in that Farley engine Goodyear tires Swift. Whether he can close things up just a little bit. The margin back to Coelho last time by was 3.5 seconds from Kazimet, so about 3 seconds to Keller. We'll see now what Treadway is going to be able to do. You can see right now these two still in a virtual race of their own at this point. Kazimet onto the front straight, going to put lap number 11 of 18 in the books, but Keller continues to hound him. There is Treadway. That's your margin. Back to the bronze medal here at Topeka.
Well, when I was talking to Tony the other day, I said, who's your competition? He said, this little fella looks pretty quick, and he is. Keller dives to the inside, takes the lead.
And so Keller out front now, Biz.
Well, let me tell you, I was talking to Chris in the paddock before the race, and he was the fastest man in every single session here. He said, all I want to do is not get messed up in the start, which of course he did. And if I get the lead, there's no way they can catch me. He was 0.5 of a second faster all weekend long, and in Formula Ford, that's a very long period of time, guys.
That is a substantial margin in this class, and it means, one, that you've got a car that is set up and balanced. Also, you've got a driver who can get the job done, and it is spectacular. Here's a look at that pass again. Just a beautiful move. Got in the toe, popped out down to the inside, and Chris Keller, the youngster, has taken the lead here in Ford. Welcome back. The Formula Ford National Championship underway. A look back at some of the key moments at the start. Even though Chris Keller had the pole, the experience of Tony's Kazimet's paid, and that bright yellow Vestal with the blue helmet of Kazimet's was able to lead away as we got him wide. Now, watch a couple of moves here. First of all, that is the 44 of the young man Schutte trying to get around Coelho, and Treadway diving down and picking up the spot. Schutte has to drop back, but it was going to all come to tears for a couple of the guys. Treadway gets tagged at Cal, then the big moment for Schutte.
Yeah, he turns around. He may have, in fact, caught Treadway again, looking at that incident once again. And then we see the battle up front. Kazimet and Keller going at it hard.
Right here, looked like he was going to give it a shot. Now, this was the great moment. Watch the move by Treadway. Happened just a few minutes ago. Pops out and picks up 2 spots in 1 shot and is able to hang on. And that puts him into 3rd. And then, just a moment ago, the number 15 of Keller just timed it beautifully, Cal.
He did. Takes it very late in the going down this front straightaway. Big surprise there. It looked like Kazimet was under control. And then Kazimet now putting the heat back on Keller. He hasn't given this gold medal up, not yet. Takes the lead back. Going through 8 and 9. This is huge. Kazimet's back in front.
This is a fabulous battle, and the pace of these two is spectacular right now. Running in the low 138s, Treadway at the high 138s. Keller again shows the nose as they head down into turn 10.
This is a great battle, experience versus youth. Tony's Kazimet has been fast in everything I've ever seen him driven. I don't know much about this young man, Chris Keller, but he's certainly impressing us this weekend, Greg.
He is indeed. And Rick Radicek, who works with us as well, is fairly familiar with him from some Skip Barber stuff and says that this guy has a tremendous reputation. And now we can see why. This kid is for real, folks, and he is giving an extremely talented and experienced driver one heck of a run.
Well, that's the kiss of death when Rick Rat says you're going to win, but here comes Keller. He's going to try and take that lead back. And boy, oh boy, he's won here twice. He's won 4 races this year, Chris Keller, 2 of those being right here at Heartland Park. So he's got his homework done in terms of how to get around this racetrack and getting the car dialed in. Here's Treadway further back in the pack. He is 7.5 seconds behind the leaders, and the battle resumes for that 4th spot, currently held by Mike Sauce, then Tony Coelho and Steve Oseth.
Well, that tells you something about Keller as we're watching the 72 of Tom Schweitz. 4-time gold medalist there in the 7th spot, duking it out with the number 3 of Art Foster. And this right now is that battle for the 7th spot. But you talk about commitment and also smarts. Chris Keller coming all the way from New Jersey to run 2 races here to get track knowledge and setup knowledge. That tells you how bad he wants this.
Well, it was one thing you're here for a long time. Typically, these guys are at the run-offs for a week or more, so you get a lot of track knowledge. But if you need to make any changes, tweak the engine a certain way, get it to pull off the slow corners better, you need the straightaway speed. That's a learning curve, and you can't always do that on site. So I think it's great that he and his team brought that car here to learn about this track.
We're seeing a couple of good battles here, Coelho and Oseth, and Keller has gone back around Kasmets in this back and forth duel. So Keller has reclaimed the lead. Kasmets right there. And we're going to take a look here as they get on the front straight. Keller able to hang on. Kasmet's got a pretty good run, however. And we'll see now whether Kasmet's able to take advantage of the toe down this long straight. He is there, Cal, but is he close enough? Does not look like it.
Keller's very strong
maybe
down
I
the straightaway. Here comes Kasmets, makes the late move. These boys are getting the draft effect very late in this straightaway, so the aero effect on these Formula Fords a little bit different to the other classes we've seen earlier this weekend, Greg. Keller looks to the inside. That's close. Almost touching wheels there.
Through the carousel, Kasmets hanging on. Keller hounding him mercilessly right now. Now, let's go back and take a look at how that first exchange happened just a moment ago.
Oh, he just dives in there. Kasmets didn't expect it, and then there was another repass as Kasmets responds heading down into the first chicane.
The war is on in Ford. Stay with us. We are working lap 15 of an 18-lap national championship runoff in one of the most exciting of all classes, Formula Ford. And Tony Kasmets is leading pole sitter Chris Keller, but nothing is guaranteed. There have been 6 to 7 lead changes.